it's the first two psukim from 99, from chapter 99, and then we're going to do chapter 89, and then 92. The reason we're going to do 92 is because that's something that you're familiar with. But 89, I just want to, in honor of the parasha. So this parasha is Avraham Avinu, Sarah Imenu, right? So the beginning of Pei Tet, which is not one of these popular ones, 89, it's not one of these popular ones that people say, like when they say, okay, let's all get together and, who wants Pei Tet? Nobody pays attention, or nobody like jumps for it, because it's not a famous one. It's not like, any of the Shir Hamalot. It's not like Kuf Yatet. It begins with the words Maskil Le'itan Ha'ezrachi. A maskil is a chapter of Tehillim that makes you think, like Sechel. And Eitan Ha'ezrachi, the Gemara says, is Avraham Avinu. Interestingly enough, Eitan Ha'ezrachi, the Gemara says, is Avraham Avinu, that this is a chapter of Tehillim that's connected to, dedicated to, written by Avraham Avinu. And the reason it's a maskil, we know that Avraham Avinu, his quality was chesed. Like what Rebbetzen Joanne was just saying about giving food to people. That's a big chesed if you can cook for people. So many people on this thing I see, who I know you personally are, either host or cook or give, or so we associate Avraham Avinu with giving, with the midah of chesed, of loving kindness. And here, a maskil, we usually associate maskil with Yaakov Avinu, because he was the one who was devoted to Torah learning, or Moshe Rabbeinu. But here, the seichel of Eitan Ha'ezrachi, of Avraham Avinu, who was called Eitan. Eitan means strong, and because that he had to oppose the entire world. Could you imagine what that feels like? The whole world is saying one thing, and you say the opposite, and you don't have one chevra, you don't have one group to hang out with that will reinforce your beliefs. That's a hard thing to be. Now, it happens to be that in the world that we're in right now, there are people who feel like that, people who are feeling like the absurdness of the sheker, of falsehood, and they feel like they're talking to the wall when they say something, and like nobody gets them. So Avraham Avinu, our grandfather, our first ancestor, as a nation, because all humanity we know is descended from Noach, but our first unique ancestor, he was up against everybody, and he kept saying to them, "You are all wrong," and they didn't hear, except for the people who eventually did hear, the people who are really searching for truth, and they didn't have an agenda or fear or confusion. They heard Avraham Avinu. And so this is what he says, just the first pasuk. Chazdei Hashem olam ashira. I'm going to forever sing about the kindnesses of God. The dor vador, forever and ever, all of my generations, odia, I will let know, I will make known, emunatcha, belief in you, bifi, and I'm going to make it known with my mouth. It's a very powerful pasuk to learn by heart. Chazdei Hashem. Now, first of all, this doesn't sound like a seichel. This sounds like an emotion, right? We see the midah of chesed here, which is Avraham Avinu's quiet. Avraham Avinu, our grandfather Abraham, his character trait, his archetypal character trait was chesed, was loving kindness. And here he says, I'm going to sing about God's loving kindness forever. That if you seek a quality in someone else, that means that you have that particular quality. And if you see a negative in someone else, then you have that negativity. It's a very, very sharp thing that I didn't make that up, and nor do I like it, because I use that a lot in my own private life. But when you see something that's consistently and constantly bothering you, there's a reason that Hashem, and let's say it appears in multiple people in your life. Even if those people are peripheral, like the postman or the delivery guy, or I don't know. But if you keep seeing the same negative midah over and over again, you have to ask yourself, why is Hashem showing that to me? Is there something about that I actually share that I need to be aware of? And again, who taught us that? The Baal Shem Tov, the Baal Shem HaKadosh taught us that. And he said that Hashem knows that to talk to us directly about fixing a quality. Oh, yeah, you're here. I'm so glad to see you. I love seeing you, sweetie pie. So we know that when Hashem, for Hashem to tell us something directly, it's too painful. Just like when you ask someone, tell me what I need to fix. Really, what you're saying is, tell me what I'm good at. I know people will say, no, I really mean, I want you to tell me what I need to fix. And no, you really don't. You're really feeling a little bit of insecurity, whatever. And you want to get encouragement. That's really how that translates, that particular statement. And I'll tell you the truth, it's not like I'm just hearing that from other people. I know if I say that statement, that's what I'm reaching out for. Nobody really wants to hear from someone who knows them well what's wrong with them. I know you're going to all object. It's not true. The deepest part of you, the deepest part of a person needs reassurance, because the deepest part of us knows exactly what we need to correct. And we need to be bolstered by reassurance so that we can then go and correct that. So when we see whatever midah we keep seeing, let's say if we see God is generous, if we just constantly see Hashem's generosity, it's a reflection of the fact that we are generous. It's a good thing. So here we see Avraham Avinu was teaching us this by saying, I'm going to talk about Hashem's kindness forever. That was Avraham Avinu's midah of kindness, and that's all he saw was kindness. So it goes in a positive way, and it goes in a more the other way. And here we learn also, I'm going to always make known with the power of my speech the beliefs that I have. Odia emunatcha, I'm going to acknowledge my belief in you, b'fi, with my mouth. I'm not going to keep it to myself. Avraham Avinu was a proactive teacher. He was the first Chabad shliach of God. He went out and tried to find people to teach and to explain and to share his ideas with. So even if we just say to ourselves, using the power of our speech, Ani ma'amin be'emunah shlema, I believe completely. Why do we have the Ani ma'amins in our siddur? And we're supposed to not read them with our eyes. When we say them, we're supposed to say them and sing them. It'll be really nice. I know that there's one or two, there's two or maybe even three songs that popular entertainers made up about using the words of Ani Ma'amin. Every one of the Ani Ma'amin should be made into a song so that people could sing them, because when we verbalize something, it actually concretizes it in our being. And that's why it's very important never to, as much as you can, not to verbalize negativity. Rather, try to say the same statement in a positive way. Whenever, when I used to teach in America, when I taught high school kids, so invariably, somebody would raise their hand and say, I'm so confused. And I would say, no, you're not confused, but you would like me to teach this in a different way. You would like me to explain it differently, but don't say you're confused. Because when you say you're confused, you make yourself confused. This was taught to me by Rav Pinchas Scheinberg Zetzel. I once had a very, very scary dream. This is going back 30 years ago. And I called him. I was living in Eretz Yisrael at the time. And I called him, and I can't believe that I did this. I called him. I knew the yeshiva schedule, because all the yeshivas had the same davening schedule. 7:30 was shacharis or whatever it was. I had his house phone, but I was so agitated. Anybody who knows me knows that I am very shy when it comes to calling people to ask for help. That's not the thing that I do, especially calling rabbis, especially early in the morning. That's how agitated I was. I had a dream that my father passed away. And I did not know that he was sick. I didn't know that. My father made everyone in the family promise not to tell us, because we were living in Israel and they were still in America. Anyway, I called him at Scheinberg early in the morning and I said, Rebbe, I had a terrible dream. So he said to me, you had a good dream. That's just exactly what he said to me, like without missing a beat. I said, no, Rebbe, you don't understand. I had a terrible dream. And I was just about to spill it. And he said, no, you don't understand. You had a very good dream. You're never allowed to say you had a terrible dream. You could say you had a disturbing dream. You have a dream that needs interpretation. You have a dream that needs to be fixed, but don't stamp it. Don't stamp it. So I said, I blurted out, but I dreamt that my father died. He said, you see, I told you, it's a good dream. That's a siman for arichat yamim, for extended life. And indeed, my father lived. He had had a heart attack. They didn't tell me that. And he lived another couple of years. So he explained to me, Rabbi Scheinberg, this is mamash Torah Imecha coming through Torah Shabbat Al Peh. He said, don't verbalize negativity, because the verbalization of any Jew actualizes. So only verbalize positivity. Figure out a way. Okay, so if you're talking to your therapist and you're paying by the hour, and you have to like get out, you can't start fishing for words. You have to prepare beforehand how you're going to say what you're going to say. But again, Odia emunatcha befi. Try to constantly reiterate and saying over and over again good words, emunadic words, words of emunah, words of faith, words of truth, and don't repeat lies. That's why so many people, good people, regular people in America are having such agitation now, because they're seeing that they're seeing lies repeated and repeated and repeated, and it aggravates even the regular John Doe on the street in America. John Doe is how we say in American English, like, I don't know, do you have that in British? Like the generic name? No? Okay, whatever. So I can't read the messages now, Chai. You're going to have to, tell me later. Okay, so that's the first post that I wanted to talk about, only because I wanted to relate it to the parsha that we're in, because this is the parsha of Avraham Avinu, Sarah Imenu, the strength of them. So you should know that there is an Avraham Avinu in Sefer Tehillim. He has this parak, this pasuk. This is not, what do you say? The clap man on the omnibus? That's what you say? Okay. And to show that, I'll just do the next pasuk because I can't leave this parak. It's so beautiful. Ki amarti olam chesed yibaneh, a very famous statement that the Torah talks about all the time, that Hashem created this world with chesed, with the quality of chesed. We all know that the creation, this is like Hashkafa 101. God is the creator, the first words of the Torah, in the beginning of the creation of the world, right? God created the creator, and the entire creation is the receiver is the created. So in terms of the dynamic of creator and creation, the creator is the proactive giver, and the creation is the receiver. Somebody has to mute herself, whoever just got on. So, Ki amarti olam chesed yibaneh, I said, I'm verbalizing the fact that Hashem created the world. Rebecca Frankel, you have to just mute yourself, sorry. And Ruthie M also has to mute herself. And who else? We have to go through and see who's making noise there. So Avram Avinu was telling us in this parak of Tehillim, we're doing 89, just the first 3 verses from 89, then we're going to jump to 92. Avram Avinu was saying to us like this. He said, a minute ago, I told you, like a second ago, in the pasuk I said, Joanne, could you please mute the person who's making noise? Odia emunatcha befi, I will make known my emunah with my mouth. I will use my mouth to constantly declare emunah, words of faith. And now he does it. Now he immediately does. Ki amarti, watch, I'm saying this. Ki amarti doesn't mean because I said. It means I am now declaring, Olam chesed yibaneh. Hashem created the world with chesed, with kindness, with loving kindness, because there's nothing that we can do to pay back Hashem. Can someone please?
Sorry, Ruth. I think it's Ruth. Can you just mute yourself there? It's the noise is coming through.
But you can mute her also, Joanne.
I don't know if I'm a partner now, have they? I'm checking now.
How could you not be a partner? Who else is
because somebody else opens it on the chat in the other office. I'll ask her to do it now.
Okay. Yes, sometimes people listen to the shir and they're walking around their house. They don't realize and they don't. Okay, so good. So now we began Peitet 89. It's a long one, so you could read it on your own. It's a very, very beautiful parak of Tehillim, and many, many psukim from chapter 89 are incorporated into our daily tefillah. Oh, come on, Odelia, I'd like to see you. So you could read through the parak, but because it's not one of those ones that we say every single day, so I just wanted to give you a few psukim from it, and now we're going to jump to the Shir Shal Yom, the Shir Shal Yom for Shabbos. Right? Did we do this one? We didn't do 92, right? No, okay. And Joanne, you have to mute yourself also because you're still on. Okay, so now, every single day in davening, we have, for those of you who pray from the Siddur, and you begin from the beginning and you go till the end, so the very beginning of the Siddur talks about the service in the temple, the service in the Beis HaMikdash. We learn, we recount the different offerings that were given in the Beis HaMikdash. We talk about the Ketorah, the incense that was given in the Beis HaMikdash. That's the very beginning of the davening, very, very beginning. And then in the very, very end, right before we end, we say the Shir Shal Yom, Hayom Yom Shabbos Kodesh. Thank you, Adelia. Shabo Shabbat Kelmi. That Hashem Shabo Amru Halavim Beit Hamikdash. This is the parak of Tehillim that the Levium said in the Beis Hamikdash. So could you imagine what we're doing right now, every single day, and we say it every day, not just Shabbos, we say it every single day, we have the shir, the song, that the Levium used to sing in the Beis HaMikdash. So we're actually we are now, every day, we're able to say a parak of Tehillim and project our mind, or let's say make a twinning, to twin ourselves and the Levium in the Beis HaMikdash, who would also say this particular parak of Tehillim. So just like Hanukkah, right? What are the things that we do in our Jewish life? What things do we do that are Beis HaMikdash dik? So we know we light Shabbos candles every Friday night. That is a thing we're not lighting the menorah of the Beis HaMikdash, but the concept of making a bracha on Shabbos candles is a parallel to the service of the Beis HaMikdash. When we take challah, so now again, it's not the actual service of the Beis HaMikdash, but it's a familiar type of a connection. It's some kind of a parallel to some avoda, to some service that was done in the Beis HaMikdash by taking challah. Here in Eretz Yisrael, when we take truma and meiser, when you come back, when you come and live here, you're going to have a crash course in how to buy fruits and vegetables. Because it's not like in Chutz La'aretz where the fruits and vegetables have no purity and therefore they're kosher, but they don't have elevation. Here in the land of Israel, all the food that grows from the ground has holiness, and we have to know all the laws of how to deal with them. Sometimes they export.
Lots, and potatoes.
So in America, they were doing peppers, and you have to know that certain stores will export, and that's a big problem because you have to, in the year that is not Shemitah, next year, Baruch Hashem is Shemitah, but in the year that's not Shemitah, it's less of a problem, but they usually do it in Shemitah years. I don't exactly know why the Department of Agriculture does that, but whatever. Anyway, so you have to know how to deal with that. But anyway, it's until Mashiach is here and the Beis HaMikdash is operational, it is a derabanan. So, and also the chief rabbinate officially does take meiser, believe it or not, so that nothing goes out that's totally, absolutely, biblically forbidden. Nevertheless, it's good to know how to do truma. So all of the laws of the Beis HaMikdash, we have certain similarities, parallels, nothing real, right? But similar, like matzah. The Beis HaMikdash, they only made matzah. Everything was chametz, was pesach, no chametz in the Beis HaMikdash. And also we know that the Kohen Gadol and the Kohanim had a special uniform, and we women have a special uniform, and the men wear a turban or they wear a kippah to parallel also the Kohanim wore kippot. So whatever it is, we have we keep the Beis Hamikdash alive with certain mitzvahs. Chanukah, the holiday of Chanukah. Now we're into Chanukah, right? This Shabbos, we're going to announce, we're going to do Rosh Chodesh benching. We're going to announce the upcoming month of Kislev comes out on Tuesday, I think. So that's Chanukah. So the lighting of the menorah, Dafka, we know that we don't light a 7-candle menorah. We light an 8-candle menorah because we don't want to actually replicate a Beis Hamikdash menorah. We light 8 because of the 8 days of Hanukkah, but the concept is about the menorah. And there are many, many other things that are connected to the service in the Beis Hamikdash that we do on a daily basis. Okay, so here is at the very end of Shabbos. So I don't know during the week if you have time to say the Shir Shal Yom, but certainly Shabbos, everybody should, because you have much more time on Shabbos and Davin. There's nothing else to do. You can't look at Baruch Hashem. We cannot look at screens, can't look at phones. We can forget about the news, and we can just stay with Hashem on Shabbos. So you have to say this. You should try to say the Shir Shal Yom on Shabbos. Oh, Odelia, that looks delicious. Maybe I should come to you. You're making your green stuff. Okay, so Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos. This is the song that Shabbos sings. Now, there's a discussion in the Gemara that says the following. Did the first man, Adam Harishon, make up this song? Did actually, this is going to sound funny, but did Shabbos sing this song? Because you know that we have the Parak Shira, and we know that Parak Shira tells us that every single created creation, every single part of the creation can sing a song, a pasuk to God. Everything. The day could sing, the night could sing, the sun can sing, the sky could sing, the cats and the dogs can sing, everything sings. So time can also sing, because time is also just created. And what is singing? Singing does not mean, singing with a voice box on a scale of 7 notes. It means to proclaim in a loving, beautiful way. So, Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbos. This is the song that Shabbos sang. Now, of course, David HaMelech had all of these levels in mind when he wrote this song, or when he edited it, because there are some who say that it was originally written by Adam Harishon, because the first Rashi in Tehillim quotes the Gemara that says that 10 people, in addition to David HaMelech, contributed to Tehillim. So here's one that Adam Harishon made up. Okay, and it's all about Shabbos. You know it because you say it, and you know it because there are songs here. Tov lahodos l'Hashem. It's good to say thank you to God. That's what Shabbos we should be doing on Shabbos all day long, saying thank you. Tov lahodos l'Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. And go through all of your stuff. Go through everything that you have to say thank you for. You know that years and years ago, I was once in a yeshiva, davening in a yeshiva, and there was a very, very there was a man there who was davening. He was like the Rosh Yeshiva's brother-in-law, or something like that. And he in the Shemona Esrei, he bowed down for Modim in the Shemona Esrei. He bowed, and he just stayed like that for like 20 minutes. And I was this young person in the, I like to look in the yeshiva davening. Anyway, I finished davening Shemona Esrei. I looked over the men's section. I see he's still bent over. So I asked somebody, like, is he okay? They said he bends Modim, and he wants to explain to somebody, maybe one of his kids, to explain that when he bends Modim, he just stays there and thinks about every single good thing that he has. And he doesn't get up until he exhausted his list, which of course we could never exhaust our list. But it was very, very meaningful to me. So I try before Modim, I don't do that, but I try before Modim, if I, when I remember and I can or whatever, to think about what I want to say thank you for in my mind. So here, what is Shabbos telling us? Tov lahodos Hashem. It's good to say thank you to God. Ulezamer, and to sing, l'shimcha elyon, to your name, Hashem, your exalted name. Here's why we sing Zmiras on Shabbos. Why do we sing Zmiras on Shabbos? You know that on Yom Kippur we don't sing Zmiras? Well, we don't eat. On Rosh Hashanah, some people do, but it's not like a thing. I know we incorporated it into, but really we don't, on Yantivs, we don't, people do it. Shavuos people, it's like it's not a Yantiv thing, it's a Shabbos thing. If people incorporated singing zmir, singing Shabbos songs or singing songs on holidays, that's nice, but it's not built into it's copying of what we do on Shabbos. Shabbos, sing. Ulazame l'shimcha. And listen, this pasuk, this one phrase actually, is showing us the dynamic that happens when a Jewish person starts to daven. First, we're saying in the third person, it's good to thank God. We're not saying it's good to thank you, Hashem, you, God. It's good to thank God, third person. But then we switch over right away to a more ulazame l'shimcha. Now we're talking directly to Hashem. The opposite is what happens when we make a bracha. When we make a bracha, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, right? What are we saying? So first we're Baruch atah, we're talking to Hashem directly. Hashem, atah, you. And then Elokeinu, you're our God. Melech haolam, you're king of the world. Asher kiddushanu, that he sanctified us. So we're going from close to far, or from personal to expanded. Here we're the opposite. Here we're going from far to close. Because on Shabbos we can really be so close. And now especially, you're saying that there's no guests, and I think that in New York, I heard something about a new decree that they changed it starting this week, that they also can't have guests, going back to the old way of keeping everyone isolated because the whole America is going crazy. So so sing to Hashem, even if you're by yourself, there's nobody there, but you're not by yourself. You and Hashem are singing next to each other. Do you know how many tzaddikim had different areas of different times of their life when they were by themselves and isolated? People were thrown into jail and people were in the middle of nowhere. And it came Shabbos and they have, you read, they had their time, they just closed their eyes and imagined Hashem is in front of them and just sang songs of praise to him. And I repeat this over and over again so many times. The nations of the world, if they would see what Shabbos is like, if they would walk down our block on Friday night in the summer when the wind, when the weather's nice and everyone's not too hot that the air conditioners are on and not too cold that the windows are closed, but when it's nice weather and everyone's windows are open on a Friday night and everyone is singing. The world doesn't know that about Orthodox Jews. And no matter how many documentaries, somebody sent me yesterday, somebody sent me a documentary that some guy made on YouTube, 3-part documentary on Hasidic Jews. So he got some from guy to take him one day to Borough Park. This is from America. Borough Park one day, Williamsburg one day, Crown Heights one day. Borough Park is generic Hasidim, Williamsburg is Satmar Hasidim, and Crown Heights is Lubavitch Hasidim, Chabad. So, and he made a very nice video, whatever it was, but he has no clue. Like there's no clue what community Judaism is all about. And you know what? It could be that there are many communities that have bad rap, that even we don't know about. Let's say, for example, the kibbutz, the moshavim, or the yishuvim. The moshavim and the yishuvim here in Eretz Yisrael. So they all sing together because the mamash one house next to the other. So they'll sing like all the zmiras from all the houses are the same. Or here in my building also, sometimes when the windows are open and everybody just sings together because the backyards are all next to each other. So Shabbos is a good time for singing. And what are we supposed to sing about? Let's sing about the fact that Hashem shows us chesed in the morning and Hashem shows us emunah at night. What does that mean? Hashem shows us chesed in the morning and he shows us emunah at night. So Chazal say very simple. In the morning, you get up, you're positive, you're enthusiastic. There's a new day in front of you. You say, Moda Ani, thank you, Hashem, you made me alive. Then you go through your day. And at the end of the day, you look back and you say, did I accomplish anything? Did I do what I was supposed to do today? Okay, I did it. I got the cooking done. I got the laundry done. I got the exercise done. But was that it? So we have to have emunah at night, that what we did during the day was good. In the morning, we wake up full of energy. Somebody's on from America now. She's 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, I don't know. Crazy hours. That's called getting up in the morning and, having positivity and having an optimism and all of that. And it's a chesed that Hashem wakes us up. But at night, to have emunah that what you did was right, to have emunah that somehow, this was the day that Hashem had decreed for me to have. Even if it was a disappointing day, even if it was a hard day. It's true that you can, on your own, look to see what has to be fixed. Sometimes you have to have emunah in yourself, that you're really tuned in and that you're doing the right thing. I can tell you so many stories of times that I thought I messed up big time, and it really turns out that it wasn't a mess up. It was actually, I was being used by Hashem to convey a message or whatever. Also, Chazal tell us that the morning represents when things are going well in your life. It doesn't have to be the morning on the clock, but the morning represents a concept like throughout the entire Tehillim. Daytime, light, morning is all about clarity. It's all about when things are going well. And the opposite, nighttime, darkness, that all represents when things are going, when things are being challenging. So David Melch tells us that in the morning, when things are going well, so just thank Hashem for the chesed. And when things are going challenging, then pull on your emunah. Pull on your emunah that somehow we are part of a much bigger plan. Hashem is much smarter than we are. Hashem has a plan that we're part of. And when you can understand it, that's called chesed. When you cannot understand it, that's called emunah. Chesed means loving kindness, emunah means faith. Sometimes we have to be, I understand, this is great, and I have to thank Hashem for the open chesed, for the open miracles. And sometimes Hashem covers it over and we don't see the kindness. And we have to just believe that this is somehow exactly what has to happen. We don't understand why. That's part of emunah. Doesn't mean we should let go and not do anything about it. Everybody has to do hishtadlus. But the bottom line is, whatever you do, Hashem is in charge of the end result. We are only in charge of the hishtadlus. And we don't understand. We don't understand why things happen to us. We have to keep praying for them to be fixed. But there's Boker and there's Erev. Boker and Laila. Another name for Erev, for Laila is Erev. Erev means in Hebrew also all mixed up. When things are like an Erev. An Erev, you put an Erev around your house or an Erev around the neighborhood. It means all of the mixed up rishuyot, all the mixed up properties are now put into one. We make a big circle around, that's called an Erev, because originally they were confused or they were separate, disparate, and now we're unifying them. So Laila, nighttime, or Erev, it means when things don't make sense, when things just don't make sense. Okay, then we have to have emunah, and emunah always is supposed to make you smile, always. If you're not smiling, then it means you're not on the emunah page. As soon as you get to the emunah page, you smile, you let go, you pull back. Okay, Hashem, I am your daughter, you are my creator, you know much better than me how to create the world, how to lead the world. Okay, so that's a concept on Shabbos. So when we're saying this, and we're thinking about this on Shabbos, thinking about chesed, thinking about emunah. Alei asor v'alei navel, alei higayon b'kinor. Okay, for anybody, what happened? You can't hear me? Is my sound okay? Okay. So whoever's sound is off, I'm sorry that your sound is off. And you know that yesterday YouTube went down. Did you know that? Okay, maybe it was, yeah, maybe when we were all sleeping, but in America, YouTube went down. You know why? Because I'm trying to wait till the end of the story. I'm not like following every minute of the story, what's going on in America. I would like to have like a good ending. So I didn't pay attention to the news yesterday, but it seems like something very big was being revealed about the fraud in the American elections. And YouTube went crazy and they just shut themselves down. Of course, they won't admit it like that, but that's what happened. So, so that's why I tell you that, maybe because the sound is a little bit off. Okay, here are musical instruments. This is a very interesting thing. I'm going to tell you something from the Lubavitch Rebbe now. And this was said over many times by different musicians. Lubavitch Rebbe was, as you all remember, and if you don't remember, you can see him, you can see all the archives of his. So he was the address for many, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of Baalei Tshuva. And whenever anyone would come to him and say something like, I was the front guitarist for a rock band. I hope I said that right. Like I was working in a crazy, like a band. And I was their lead singer. I was I don't know, whatever. Rebbe would always say, okay, so take your musical skills now and take your musical talents and, use them in a holy way. Don't give up music. He would always say to people, do not give up the talents that you have. Just use them, focus them, and funnel them into a kosher, into a kosher pipeline instead of in a non-kosher pipeline. So here we're seeing something really amazing. Learn a musical instrument, or if you know a musical instrument, then play it for God. Now, I don't have my guitar here with me in Eretz Yisrael. And anyway, I knew like only the Shlomo Carlebach songs, like 4 chords, that's all you need. You can play every one of his songs. But everybody here could sing, and everybody here could dance, and everyone here can clap, and everybody here can draw, even if you're just taking out crayons and drawing colors. What it means here, alei asor, alei means on. I'm playing musical instruments. And asor is a 10-stringed messianic instrument. We don't know what it looks like. It's a 10-stringed harp. There were 7-string harps, 8-string harps, and 10-string harps mentioned in Tehillim. The 7-string harp is the regular one that we play now because we have a 7-note scale. The 8-string harp is called a shminit, and that's what we're going to be playing when Mashiach comes. And the 10-string harp, that's called an asor, and that's what we're going to be playing when Olam Haba comes, the next level of Mashiach. So here, David HaMelech is saying, I'm going to play songs to you on an asor. Asor is an instrument that we do not know how to play. We only know 7 octaves or 7 scales. We don't know how to make music that's heavenly, but we'll learn that. The 8 strings, the shminit, is when Mashiach comes. We'll be able to figure out an 8th, whatever. I'm so not a musician. I mean, in the classical sense, I can't explain to you how 7 is different than 8, but there's going to be an above nature, right? Because 8 is always above nature. So right now, David is saying, and Shabbos is saying, because on Shabbos we can access a little bit of Olam Haba, Me'ein Olam Haba. So Me'ein, a little bit of Olam Haba, whatever that means. It's your neshama yesera, your extra neshama, your extra consciousness, your extra ability to perceive godliness. That's Shabbos. And ladies, it only comes when you keep Shabbos. I know so many people want to feel Shabbos before they keep it. They say, if I felt Shabbos, then I would keep it. It doesn't work like that. You have to have all of the wires connected properly, and then you get Shabbos piped into your house. And by the way, the wires connected properly, not everybody knows all the details of the laws of Shabbos, but Hashem knows what you know or what you're able to know about Shabbos. And so those are your wires. For example, the chief rabbi of the world, he knows every single little tiny second of how Shabbos is supposed to be. So for him, his wires, every one of those has to be connected for him to feel the shefa of Shabbos. But for regular people like us, whatever we know of Shabbos, if we do it, that's connecting our wires, and then we get Shabbos, the feeling of Shabbos that comes to us. But don't think that the feeling of Shabbos comes unless you actually keep Shabbos. Now the thing is like this: there is an exception to that rule, and that is Balei Tshuva. When Hashem sees that you need an injection of free inspiration, sometimes He does that. Sometimes He gives you a feeling of Shabbos, even if you're not fully keeping it. And He does that so that it should inspire you to keep Shabbos. And that's illustrated by the pasuk in Tehillim also. Ta'amu u'ru'u ki tov Hashem. You can taste and then see how great Hashem is. Tasting means I'll give you a taste first, and then you'll like it, and then you'll keep it. Then you'll start proactively upgrading your Shabbos. So okay, we're gonna play songs to Hashem on a 10-stringed instrument when Olam Haba comes, and on a nevel, another stringed instrument, and on a kinor, another stringed instrument. And the word higayon means when you really know how to play music. So if you know how to play music, so you should know that you are very, very gifted. And at least once a week, not on Shabbos. On Shabbos we do not play instruments, but every once in a while play God a song. He loves that. Here in Eretz Yisrael, in Yerushalayim Yer HaKodesh, and in Har Nof Yer HaKodesh. So you've all been here, you know that 10 minutes before candlelighting, they put music on. And they put every single building here, or every single block has at least one loudspeaker that's on top of the building. That's a private loudspeaker. In other words, it's not the loudspeaker that the government uses if there's chas v'shalom an air raid or any of those times when they blow a siren. That's not the same. It's not the same speaker. It's a private speaker that a private what's it called, amplifier, and whoever's in charge of each block or each neighborhood puts on music before Shabbos, and that's considered like an important job. Why? Because the music that they choose every week is supposed to be, or they sort of like did that. We sort of like did this custom of choosing a song that is in line with the parsha, or if it's a holiday, one of the holiday songs. If there's nothing else doing, they put Shabbos miras on, and so that's how we fulfill this of physically playing music 10 minutes before candlelighting, like 12 minutes before, and then at candlelighting, they play music again. So you get like the heads up, and then you get at candlelighting, and then they blow the shofar. So we hear our siren, and then all of the neighborhood knows that this is Shabbos is now entering into the world. So on a certain level, it's a very sweet thing to do, but it's also fulfilling this pasuk of serving Hashem with musical instruments. Because Hashem, you made me so happy with your actions. Not always are we happy with Hashem's actions, but we're going to say, yes, I am happy with your actions. And I will rejoice in the activities of your hands, so to speak. So here, this is a perfect example. Remember, we said that when we learn Tehillim, we're going to be learning Tehillim for another 150 years because we haven't finished the whole book, Ezrat Hashem. So when we learn Tehillim, we know one of the rules that David Melech used in Tehillim is sometimes he'll take a pasuk and he'll break it into two phrases, actually many times. And the second phrase is a repetition of the first phrase, just a little bit elaborated, a little bit different words. But here we see, Ki smachtani Hashem b'falecha, you made me happy, Hashem, with your actions. And the actions of your hands are a name. Make me happy. So why does David Melech do that? So there's a few reasons. I'm sure infinite reasons, but a few reasons. One of the reasons is because he wants to emphasize a thought that might be hard for us to integrate. There are certain thoughts in Tehillim that are factual, like, for example, the Tehillims that we say that are historical, that talk about Jewish history, what happened to us. Those are factual. There are certain verses that are beseeching, that are asking Hashem. But there are certain philosophical ideas, hashkafic ideas, that David HaMelech is teaching us, Mamash is teaching us. And when he wants to integrate, when he wants us to Mamash make this part of our thought process, like a natural thought process, he repeats the same idea several times. The biggest example of this in the Tehillim that you're all familiar with is chapter 121, where David HaMelech repeats over and over again, Hashem is watching us, he's guarding us, he's protecting us, he doesn't distract himself from us, over and over again, that idea. Because it's a hard idea, because we sometimes think Hashem forgot about us. Or we keep asking him for answers and he's not forthcoming. So here we have this example, okay? And I want to be happy with what you've done in my life. So Chazal tell us that there are 4 tkufot in a person's life, 4 time frames: childhood, young adulthood, middle-aged, and senior citizen. 4 times, just like the 4 seasons, the 4 letters in God's name, the 4 elements, all the 4s. 4 time frames in a person's life. Big gadol. Then they don't have like ages, not like years, like from age birth till age 15. It's not like that. It's just like 4 tkufas that, that people go through in life. Usually in tkufa 1, 2, and the first half of 3, people are very running around, trying to get their life under control. Childhood, young adulthood, and the beginning of middle age, people are proactive in trying to get things under control. At a certain point in middle age, people let go, and then certainly senior citizens, and they just observe good things. They just observe the beauty of the world, and this is the highest level. Sometimes you have senior citizens that are very bitter. That's sad. It's a sad thing that in their old age they turn bitter. Not to judge but we don't want to be bitter. We want to be sweet. We want to be sweet, and the only way that you can be sweet is if you concentrate on sweet and good things. Shabbos for sure. Do you know that it says in the Gemara that on Shabbos, there's a discussion in the Gemara about eating and about how much to eat and about are you full and do you get fuller with sweet foods or fuller with plain foods? The Gemara talks about this. And the Gemara says that during the week, people don't really have such an appetite because the food that they eat is plain. So they're going to eat like for fuel. Of course, that was the time of the Gemara. Now we have a big challenge with that. But in the week, people don't have such a big appetite because the food is more bland. On Shabbos, the food is sweet. So people have a big appetite on Shabbos because the food is sweet. That's how the Gemara describes it. So when you focus on sweet and on good, and you become that, you just become that. It takes a while to integrate that because we're mostly still in the part of our life where we're trying to get things under control. We're trying to control people. We're trying to control ourselves. We're trying to control our life and circumstances. It's a big thing, this whole topic of control. But when you can begin to let go, and by the way, little kids, youth, and young adult has to be proactively controlling because they have to, that's when they're going out, they're learning things, they have to learn, they have to get a job, they have to get a career, they have to get an education, they have to learn their Torah, they have to learn how to be a Jew. So it's appropriate to be very proactive at that point. But to incorporate on Shabbos, to incorporate sweetness and gratitude and song and happiness and let go of everything else. Why do we say this on Shabbos? Because not all of us can do these things. Not all of us are experts in this. We're very needy of integrating this. So on Shabbos, we say it to remind ourselves to actually put this into us, because as we said, what you say with the words, the fi, right? We said in the parak before, Bifi, when I verbalize something, then it makes it more real. It makes it exist. So we're going to say these words, we're going to try to be happy on Shabbos. So I want to tell you, and then I'm going to finish. Since we're doing this Lili Nishmas, we have a Ephraim ben Rabbi Avraham, who I knew as a very smiley, good person. And he left this world, sadly, young-ish, but whatever. I want to also talk about my own father. My father, the 2 times that he had heart attacks were on Shabbos, and then he died on the Shabbos. So all of those events, including the day that he died, after he had a heart attack, he could barely talk, but he could nod his head. And I remember something that he had told me between heart attacks. And he said, the pain was very bad, very hard pain for him. It was very painful for him. But he said the biggest pain was that he fashter the Shabbos. Those were his words. Fashter the Shabbos means he felt like he, how would we say that in English? He like lowered the dignity of Shabbos. He saddened Shabbos. So that was what he said to me between heart attacks. And then on the day that he died, when he was still like, he had a heart attack in the morning, and he made it until right before Shabbos was over. So I saw that he was struggling to communicate. It was very hard for him. So I said to him, Daddy, do you feel bad that you fashter the Shabbos again? Fashter means it means to make sad, to like lower the beauty of, break. But it wasn't like he broke Shabbos, Chas v'shalom. But that's what it means. So I said to him, Daddy, I was by his bed in the hospital, here in the Eretz Yisrael in Har Sophim. I said, Daddy, and he was struggling. I saw he was struggling, he wanted to say something, and he couldn't. I said, Daddy, you feel bad you fashter the Shabbos? And he nodded. I said, you didn't fashter the Shabbos. You didn't do anything wrong. He sacrificed so much of his own life for Shabbos. To be a Shomer Shabbos in the days that he was Shomer Shabbos in America was a very hard thing to do. But the sensitivity, even on a person's deathbed, to the Kedusha of Shabbos. We should all be zocheh to see Yom Shekula Shabbos already. Mashiach should come. It's going to be a Yom Shabbos. The whole life will be Shabbos. We'll be able to throw away all the worries and all the fears, and it's time to say good Shabbos. Yeah?
It certainly is. And you know what? Isn't it amazing just how quickly it comes? You know, it's Thursday again, and then it's Friday again. And then we just get a shorter time now to enjoy our Shabbos because it's so short, and you feel like, oh my goodness, we want to extend
What
it.
do you have a whole Friday night? That's the problem, is we all fall asleep early.
Exactly.
7 o'clock, you're like, I can't wait to go to sleep already. Good to sleep on Shabbos also.
Yeah.
All right.